How we going, guys? Good to be back. So, video, as you can tell by the title, we're going to be dealing with stuck down shocks and what's the safest, easiest way to get it unstuck, and then what do we have to do with it afterwards? Because if it's stuck down, it's normally down to something else going wrong, and we need to put that right as well. So let's get into it, eh? And don't worry, today's video is going to be a bit more of a shorter one, not so much waffling. So here we have the item in question, a stuck down shock. So first of all, what is a stuck down shock? Well, that is pretty simple. This is when the stanchion part of the shock is stuck inside there. And when we say stuck, it will still move. If you put it in a bike, it will still bounce up and down, but it's not coming all the way out. And we know that because by putting a shock pump into it and seeing it's got 200 psi in it, that should be more than capable of coming all the way out, but it hasn't. Now, why is this? Pretty simple, really. Inside the shock, on the end of this stanchion, is a piston. Normally that piston be sat back here with all the air, setting your preload up, sat in front of it. So the piston pushes against the air, which is the spring. But what happens with this is the seal on the piston has failed. So the air has got behind the piston. So now the piston, when you're sitting at equal pressure, is now further up inside the body. So the air either side is now equal. So we now know if it's 200 psi on that gauge and the shock is stuck halfway out, the piston is going to be halfway in the body, and there's 200 psi of air either side of it. Now, getting the air out on the positive side is easy. You just unscrew the valve and the air comes out. So how do we get the air out the negative side? Because if we get the air out of there, we'll unstick the shock. And this is what I'm about to show you. So there's a couple of ways we can go about this. The safest and easiest way, first of all, is get yourself a high pressure shock pump. The Rockshox one, for example. This will go to 600 psi. Now, I'm not saying pump your shock up to 600 psi because most shocks are only rated about half of that. I mean, I think this one's 275. You want to open the side? There you go. 275 max. It will go more than 275 because 275 is without it being compressed. Obviously, when you squash a shock, the air pressure goes up. So we know it can be capable of managing more than 275. But 600, I wouldn't want to be betting anything substantial on it. So what we can try and do is sort of go to 350s, maybe even 400s, and see if this puts enough air in front of that piston to push this out to get it past the blowaway cutout, which is inside this cylinder. There's a little cutout which lets the air discharge from positive negative at a certain point, because this is how you end up with negative pressure to give you nice suppleness of a small bump reactivity. So what you want to try and do is get a piston to there and make it blow by before you exceed 400 psi as a number. You know, I'm not saying that's the rule, golden rule. Some shocks are different. Like X2s, for example, I think they go 300 or 350. Anyway, if that doesn't work, then we go over to method 2. So we try the pumping up first, see where we go. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put 400 psi in this and see if we can get this to pop out. So let's put 400 and see what happens. Right, so there we go. 400 psi, and yeah, it's come out, but as you can see, we're about the 35% sag mark. So we've only got about 2/3 of the shaft out. So not good enough. So we tried, didn't push out enough. So now we need to move over to plan B. What plan B involves is basically give somewhere or a way for the air in the negative side to get out. And the way we do that is by using feeler gauges. Now, some of you might be familiar with what these are, maybe not. In the mechanical world, we use these for measuring gaps in things, so like spark plug gaps and valve clearances and all that sort of stuff. But what they're also really good at is being very strong and very thin. So what we're going to do is we're going to find one of these gauges. They're made of thin slices of stainless steel. And you're going to use one of these, and we're going to slide it up the side of the seal without pushing too hard. We're going to basically all just try and wiggle our way through and get past the seal that's just there. And then what that'll do is that'll burp the air out. And we know when it works because the shaft will just come out. But take your time on this one. It's not stab away until it goes in. It's ease and tease your way in, and it'll go. You know, you might have to wiggle left and right and move the shaft around a bit. It will go, and then the shaft will come out. So I'm going to do this now. I'm going to set it up. I'll show you quickly what it looks like, and I'm going to see if I can do it on camera. I'm not going to promise you anything, but we'll have a go. Here we go. Starting to feed. We've got a 0.15 or a 6 Fahrenheit bunny feeler gauge, and we're just trying to push it in. Now, I don't think I'll be able to do this one-handed because I need to hold the shock still, but you can see what I'm doing. So I fed down the seal. I'm just slowly pushing it in. All right, so let's see how we get on. It started to go then. Here he goes. Hear the air going out. The little wiggles. But look, you can see it's coming out. Slowly wiggling it out. Get the air out of it, and it pops out. So I'm going to keep going until we get it all the way out. So that's now all the way out. So now we can slowly slide the gauges out. You can see how far they went in there. Look. So they go a fair way in to get past the seal, and you might bend it a little bit, but you'll get past it. So now we're out. So if you want it to be a bit risque, you could now give that a little clean, put the air back in it and ride it. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could. But what we now need to do is an air can service. Air can services are really easy. Both Fox and Rockshox, they have service manuals on how to do that. Obviously I can't put the links in the description because I'm not sure there's enough description space to put the link for every single shock that exists, but what I will do is I'll put a link for SRAM.com and for the Ride Fox where you can find your guides to do your air can services. This is getting a complete service. This is getting a damper and air can. To get past this fix, you don't need to do a damper service. You can do just the air can service because you need to replace the seals inside. So what I'm going to do now, quickly pull this air can off, which is pretty simple. Get the air out of the valve and unscrew the can, it comes off, and we'll have a quick look inside. I'll explain a bit more how the problem's derived and what the actual cause is and why an air can service will fix it. So let's get this pulled apart. Well, there we go. So air can's off, nice and simple. A little trick for getting these off, because when you read the manuals they get them by the hand and they unscrew them and they come off nice and lovely and all the rest of it, but when they've been around a block a fair old bit and took a bit of a kicking, they tend to get a bit stuck. The best tool for the job, and you can get these off Amazon, is strap wrenches, right? And all they do is they go over the can and they grip it and you can unscrew them. Real good tool. Don't be grabbing them with mole grips and with vices and stuff, because you will dent them. If this becomes ever so slightly misaligned or out of shape, it will leak and the shock will be getting stuck down every 2 minutes, or worse, it won't work at all. How sensor wires get stuck? When you see it like this, you can now see exactly the problem. That's where the piston should be when it's fully extended down the end of the can, but when they get stuck, the air gets behind, they end up being stuck like this, so the same volume of air either side, and you end up with just that much stanchion poke at the end. Pretty simple, really. There's the problem. And the culprit, 99% of the time, is these. They become worn and flattened. I'm trying to see if I can get this to focus. There we go. You can see they're worn and they're flattened. That should have a nice, them seals there should have a nice lip on them. You can see these are all rounded off. That's because every time the shot goes up and down, that seal moves left and right ever so slightly. And it rubs edges down. It wears edges down. And as you can see as well, not exactly a lot of lubrication in this one. You should have a nice smear of grease over it, with a little bit of the Rockshox oil in there as well, the 15-weight oil. There's nothing. It's run dry, which they always do because they lose oil at the end through usage. So this is run dry, it's wiped down. So now eventually, because it's now has lost that nice cutting edge to keep the oil and as a barrier between the air's got past it and into this side and causes a problem. You can see inside here where we've gone through, we've done a little bit of damage to the seal there, but that don't matter because we put new ones in. But we've done no damage to the rest of the shock. And there we go. So now we need to put new seals in. Like I said, do air can service to it. I'm going to be doing a damper service in this one as well, but we won't cover that in the video. Put some new seals in, bit of grease and a nice bit of lubrication in there, put it back together. And then that'll get a few more miles of riding out of it before he needs looking at it again. Right, let's throw some seals in it and show you it back together again. Right, so I've finished servicing the shock now, so that's all done. You can see it's all nice and clean. It's all been stripped, rebuilt, new oil, pressurised, blah, 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 blah. So back to the air cam, fresh grease around all the new seals. You can see that's got a far prouder edge on that. It's almost square edged compared to the old one. It's all greased and the same as well. So nice load of lube around all the seal. And just before you put it back together, it tells you this in the manual here, but you guys will come with a service kit. You'll come with a little sachet, but I've got a big bottle of it, so I've got some in the syringe. Make sure your oil up to stanchion and inside the can and a little bit inside the back end of the piston before you put it together. That way there's oil both sides of the piston and in the can. Keeping everything running smooth, and when this goes back together, that should stop it burping and getting stuck and causing you to end your ride prematurely. So I'm going to finish doing this. That is fixing a stuck down shock. Pretty easy really, but please don't just unstick it and then go, ah, be right, put it back together again, because don't bother me, but it'll be you that it'll just get stuck down again and you'll be back out on the trail calling it a day far too early, all because you do want to replace these. So put some new seals in. So for the sake of a set of seals and an hour of your time doing your air cam, jobs are good, and guys, do that and away you go. Right, I'm going to finish this job. Have a good one, and I'll catch you soon.